I did not want to wake them up until I would hear the first explosion. When the first bomb exploded, they jumped out and took cover out of surprise and fear. They asked what it was. I said nothing, and dropped the bomb.
Znam da su dečki govorili preko Motorola da preko...
I know the boys told Chetniks over Motorola's that if they were not good, they would send them water heaters. It made a much bigger impact on me in sense of morale than an effect resulting from military significance. The first thing that happened when we bombed here in the vicinity of Shodolovci is that our men started running out of trenches because the trenches were shaken down and started to cave in. They did not know what happened, but then they saw what was the ground object. They jumped happily around the trenches. That gave them morale support, and each evening they watched only when Joe would come along by and drop bombs.
Šta nas je najviše, da kažem, smetalo i čega smo se bojali? To su ti svjetleći meci s kojima su...
What bothered us most and what we were afraid of were the tracer bullets they persistently fired at us. By our misfortune, these were the bullets we saw. That moment, when a machine gun burst passes close by you, it is very difficult to describe how a person feels. We know that each such bullet could be fatal for us. However, a man becomes numb to everything, even to that.
Ulaskom oklopne gardijske divizije na prostor koji je bio okupiran u studenome.
After the Armored Guards Division had entered the area that was occupied in November 1991 and in heavy fights in Vukovar area, that Guards Division brought mainly artillery system and air defense and light mobile missile systems.
Oni su nas tako dočekali.
We were met in such a way that I also had to shout, course left, course, what course to take, bullet to the left, to the right, how many degrees and time for dropping bombs. I had to shout non-stop on the bullet not to look outside, because that was incredibly flashing, incredibly when you are fired at without stop. I think that we had not experienced such shooting in the past. That was something unseen. I was really scared that they would hit us.
Sad se stvarno boja da će nas pogoditi.
Učestalim letovima samostalnog zrakoplovnog voda i neuspjelim gađanjem topničkih sustava i ovih...
They did not manage to shoot them down with frequent flights of the independent air platoon and with failed shootings of artillery systems and these mobile missile systems and Arrow 1 it was shot with. They reached a decision to transfer the missile regiment Cab M that was from Kragujevac on the occupied area.
Meni je djelovalo veličanstveno. Bez obzira na sve opasnosti koje su bile, na te svjetleće metke.
It seemed magnificent to me, regardless all the existing dangers and tracers, PEMs, and since I am not an expert, I do not know the names. It was magnificent. Normally, in time, I felt afraid by the necessity, the need to accomplish a task.
A kad bismo se vraćali, minut, kažem...
On our way back, I say a minute or two in front of the runway, we would say two at a determined frequency. That night start would be turned on. Our job was to land as soon as possible, and when we stopped right after landing, we were immediately given an order by the unit to turn off the start because several times it happened that the airplane was moving behind us. Since our lights were turned off, we could not be seen. However, we are certain that they looked for us.
Moram reći da su ih u nekoliko navrata...
I have to say that on several occasions they attempted to intercept them with the combat airplanes of type MiG-21 and MiG-29. They failed to do that because the problem was again in target acquisition, identification and guiding onto the target. In order to shoot with artillery systems, it is necessary to get very close and locate the target. Since it is a big area, it is practically equal to looking for a needle in a haystack.
Dolazili su migovi.
It happened that MiGs looked for us on their way back, and the Night Star could not be turned on to enable them to land. They did not know what was happening. We knew. Very difficult. I felt much more relieved up in the airplane, executing my task, than when I had to wait for somebody to come back.
A možda je to interesantan ovako moment da su čak u nekoliko navrata na sletanju pucali na nas. Opet ljudi iz neznanja, nehotice, iz...
Maybe it is interesting to mention a moment when we were fired at several times while landing. It would happen again that people, I think, a member of our army, our police, who were not informed, out of ignorance, involuntarily and out of fear that we worked, that we were flying. What happened? We were not allowed to inform all. In some way, we were safer if fewer people knew about us. We still had to announce the flight so that at least the basic military means around our airport would not open fire at us. Regardless the time of the night, and we would always leave almost after midnight and sometimes before midnight, there was always somebody on the line with a gun. The feeling when the engine is turned off and when you get out of the airplane after such a successful action is really difficult and I think impossible to describe. A man has to experience it. Likewise, the happiness of our colleagues who waited for us on the ground, who observed and monitored us. Even here, regardless the distance of Vukovar of some 40 kilometers, we could hear explosions and even see flashes of the bombs we would drop. As soon as they arrived, we asked whether all of them exploded. He said yes, we would then get together and celebrate. This is the bravery that borders on madness.
To je bilo